My mother insists that I should play basketball. If you want to grow taller, then you should play basketball. Because basketball makes you taller, but soccer does not. Well, I, did your mom tell you something similar? Raise your hand if your mom told you something similar like this. I can't see the connection between these two, but I still join the basketball team anyways. Well, basketball is a great sport. It helps you build your muscles, jump higher, and move fast. But does this necessarily make a person taller? Well, probably not. So I came across a concept called survivorship bias. It refers to which that means you get information from that only from survivors that this information might be debated. Well, it affirms to me that the NBA players are comparatively tall, so that you assume playing basketball boosts the player's height. But in fact, most of the players they pass through a selection process, which is mean most of the players who stayed in the team are taller than the average. Scientists study the bomber plane in World War II. The aircraft which have the main damaged part in the wings. So should the researchers, they should increase the wings armor and reduce the belly's armor. Well, that conclusion would be entirely wrong because the aircraft have bullets wound on their bellies have crashed. So if you still reduce the armor on the bellies, that the survival rate will be very slim. This incomplete data analysis could easily lead us to an inaccurate interpretation, survivorship bias. Survivorship bias points out our tendency to focus on those people who pass through a selection process, whether top basketball players or getting high score on a test. Well, they cloud our judgment and distract us from getting the root cause of the problem. Mark graduated from Harvard and Yale. After years of hard work, he had a very large law firm, earning $500,000 a year. But his wife, Jenny, became more and more anxious these days because after they moved to a high-end residential area on the west side of Manhattan. Because their neighbors, most of their neighbors are billionaires. They travel with drivers, go home with nannies, and most of them have personal planes. Well, compared Mark to these billionaires, Mark won't have any confidence in this community, although he does make a great income. Because Jenny compared them with the most successful survivors, she has created a psychological gap, which is really asking for trouble. So survivorship bias can lead us to many interesting discoveries in our life. Many people might think that air transport is much more dangerous than car transport. Well, the truth is, news media always turn to report the air accident, but less frequency about the car accidents. So you might think of airplane is much more dangerous than the car, but actually it's not. Again, survivorship bias is playing a trick to us. You might hear a lot of people say that going to school is useless. Just look at Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg. They dropped from the college, but they became so successful. Now, using the knowledge of survivorship bias, we can know that this is a significantly low probability thing. Understanding of the phenomenon of the survivorship bias is the key to critical thinking, become a sharp decision maker, avoid jump into conclusions. You might heard people say that they get good score because they went to weekend schools. Well, you know that go to weekend school alone won't guarantee you to excel in class, but your determination does. You might learn from your friend that he just designed a great game in the internet. Well, the truth is, playing video games might be helpful for him, but it might not help at all for you. If your mom told you to make you stronger and join some teams, you can now smile at her and tell her, "Don't worry, mom, I've got it in my hand."